Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick.
This is Vubang.
And we just got to talk about the James Harden trade, but more specifically, I think maybe the Kyrie Irving drama. I don't know if it's drama or if it's more of like a dramedy.
I would call it the experience. It's the Kyrie Irving experience.
And what is that?
This whole thing, well, the way I explained it on my Instagram or whatever social medias I still have, this whole thing around if James Harden is going to join KD and Kyrie, there's only one ball to share. Like there's not three balls. These guys are ball dominant guys. And my reply to that is a ball really a ball? Is it a sphere or is it flat? Like what is a ball? Is there one ball or infinite balls? Like if you consider taking the space-time fourth dimension, everybody has the ball at different times and not multiple people can have the one ball at once. And the last 10 seconds is basically what Kyrie Irving is probably telling everybody that wants to listen to him. That's my theory. So that's the Kyrie Irving experience.
So you're saying they're going to win the title?
What is a title? I mean, is it a label? Like, what is the point of a championship? He already has a championship.
This is the Vubang experience.
Like, I mean, there's only so much you can start talking like that before somebody gets annoyed, right? This latest news around KD being distant to Kyrie, I think it's hilarious. Kyrie being upset with just not good communication with the ownership group, which is hilarious. I mean, I'd imagine the ownership group is in China right now, right? They're not in the US also. It's just so fun. I really love this. It's like breaking up with an ex and then that ex showing up as a main character on Basketball Wives. And then that Basketball Wives episode is actually a best of multiple characters from several different Basketball Wives episodes. This is just great. I love it. Every time one of these Kyrie Irving updates comes up, I just reply back via text message with Steph Curry eating popcorn, his favorite activity. I just love it.
All this stuff about the distance between Kyrie and KD, I'm not even sure like one is more annoyed with the other or whatever. We all don't know at this point what's going on with Kyrie Irving, but I've said this before and I'll say it again that when Shaq played, he used to use Godfather metaphors, and he used to call Kobe was Sonny, Dwayne Wade was Michael, and Penny Hardaway was Fredo. Right? Looking at some of the guys that KD has played with, I think it's fair to say that Russell Westbrook is Sonny. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that just fits so well. The guy's just so angry. And Steph is Michael and Kyrie is Fredo. I mean, I was hoping that if the Warriors didn't win the title, that it was going to be the Nets. Again, we don't know what's going on with Kyrie, but seemingly for no reason, just Kyrie being like trying to be his unique self or whatever. I just think this is going to be entertaining. Harden's going to come in there super out of shape. And, Charles Barkley said KD traded the Splash Brothers for the Dribble Brothers. And yeah, it's just going to be dribble, 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 like no kind of flow or beautiful offense or anything like that. And I mean, it's going to be really, really odd. And, Kyrie's legacy is going to be strange. I can't believe he's already 28, seems like yesterday he was like 24. He hit the shot against the Warriors and he has the most amazing handle and can make some crazy below the rim circus shots, spin on the ball. Super talented guy, but his legacy is going to be just strange when it's all said and done.
I just heard future Hall of Famer Kyrie Irving a few times this week. Is he a future Hall of Famer?
I don't necessarily think so. I don't know how many All-Star games. I mean, I always have this debate, like All-Star games versus titles, MVPs, all that stuff. But I don't necessarily think so. If his career kind of just tapers off from here, then it's highly debatable if he's a he hit one. I mean, he had a great series against the Warriors in the 2016 finals, and he hit one shot. You know, he hit this shot to seal it for them, and ever since then, he's been dribble, dribble, dribble. You know, goes to Boston, dribble, dribble, dribble. Like says, I'm going to do this here. Leaves, goes to the Nets. I'm going to do this here, and I don't know if he's left, but right now he's not in the building.
If we're all saying that Kyrie should make it into Hall of Fame because of one shot, then I'm going to call up Robert Horry and Derek Fisher because they have something to say as well. If it really is about one shot. Yes, they beat one of the greatest teams of all time.
Are you Robert Horry's agent?
I am. Yes, I'm actually a lot of Kobe stands out there, but I'm a Robert Horry stan. Horry stan. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this whole, well, first of all, I just want to mention my favorite tweet of the whole thing is Kyrie was trying not to be Robin to KD's Batman, but now he's suddenly Alfred. I thought that was hilarious. Totally true. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, now that they're adding a third star for KD, with KD, I mean, what does this mean to his legacy? I feel like if he wins the championship, which I would totally love, because I feel like KD would not participate in 2017 Warrior reunions unless he wins his own championship, because he's going to be like that when he's 50 years old. So I want him to win one without the Warriors. But what is this going to do to his legacy? If he wins a championship, everybody on Twitter is going to be adding him, and he's going to be subtweeting and burner account tweeting about how, you know, it was his team to start with and Harden joined it, but he's not really going to win pretty much on his own now with Kyrie and a really great bench. I mean, the best bench was the best bench in the NBA.
His legacy, I mean, the way people look back on this time in the NBA is going to be interesting. You know, the player empowerment and the movement. Who knows what it's going to look like in 10, 15 years. But I almost feel like KD's legacy is just going to be like a straight line trajectory from here, because he made those moves. And if he wins a title with another quote unquote, I guess, super team with two other stars, then it's like, okay. And it's going to be just as unfulfilling as his first title with the Warriors. I remember seeing him get the MVP for the finals, and he looked so unexcited, right? Like when he was I think he like kind of
the first MVP or the second one?
The first one. I think he got it and it was in his hand, and he kind of just like looked up to the stands and raised his hands up. Like,
yeah, that's because Curry gets more applause every time.
Yeah. But
that's why.
Yeah, but the way people perceive him now is what people will probably perceive of him down the road. No denying, amazing singular talent, somebody like we've never seen before. But iffy choices, a whole burner thing, and there will be people that just look at him for the basketball and say like he's amazing, and there'll be people that always hold these other things against him.
Yeah, I mean, whatever makes you happy, KD. Like, I really hope he finds true happiness.
Yeah,
like for real.
I wonder how Steve Nash is handling this. He had like a Eastern Conference Finals team on a platter, and now he has some really weird, stressful stuff probably to try to manage through the season.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of the bench in a season that matters the most for a deep bench. They have a sudden expectation. I mean, 538 increased the Nets championship percentage from, guess what it was before the trade?
2.
Oh, so you've already done some research. But yeah, 2 to 16%. I mean, I thought 2 was too low already, but 16 feels a little high when you're adding Harden, considering KD's coming back from Achilles, and Kyrie usually doesn't make it through the season, or at least the playoffs.
Right.
And might not be interested in basketball right now.
Right. I really liked the depth of that team. I mean, obviously they lost Dinwiddie, which was huge, but you know, they lost Jared Allen. They lost Taurean Prince.
It's really just talk about who's left. It's Joe Harris is the only team back. Is the only person back from the 8th seed team, right?
Yeah. So for me, the Nets are going from like one of the potentially most entertaining teams of the season because of like KD and Kyrie and Nash to one of the most entertaining teams of the season.
Off the court.
Yeah, because of just the drama. I mean, I really want to see Kyrie Irving and James Harden play. together. Like, who wants to play with James Harden, man? I mean, obviously KD does at this point, but like, who else?
I can't wait. This is going to be so exciting.
Man, I wish there were going to be fans when KD came back with his team, with him, Harden, and Kyrie Irving. I mean,
Coming back to the Bay?
yeah, that would have been so amazing if there were going to be fans.
I don't even know what people would do. I mean, I don't know what a bunch of millionaires sitting in an arena, how they would react. I would assume most of them will be like, oh, Harden plays for the Nets?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
My favorite player of all time. All right. How big is Andrew Wiggins Island at what point? Can we talk about how big it was last year and then over the summer and then beginning of the year?
I think last year the island was medium sized, like it was cautiously like medium sized. And then beginning of the season, actually over the summer, the island got a little bit bigger, the seas receded. Start of the season, it's just like it's like all the ice caps melted, and you're just standing
well,
there.
We could all agree now though, like if this was Andrew Wiggins for DLo straight up at this point, we would have already been satisfied. But the fact that we have the Minnesota #1 pick next year, top 3 protected, and then 2022 unprotected. I mean, this is just icing on the cake. This is a fucking second cake.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, here's your birthday cake. Eat it all up. There's another one coming.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. Like what they got is fantastic. And considering how DLo is performing in Minnesota, and which is not very well, like the Minnesota fans, and they're starting to see that he's a very limited player in how he plays and how much he actually affects winning. And then that affects their record, of course, which affects the draft pick, which is awesome.
What place, remind the listeners what place in the Western Conference the Minnesota Timberwolves are currently?
Dead last.
Which is great, but I guess, you know what? I mean, I have this whole thing around, like, I wish they were like in third to last, because then we can definitely get the 4th pick better, but it's really hard to get the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd pick nowadays. So that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, stay last place. It's like a 50% chance.
I'm looking at it as like get their losses now, because who knows, like maybe they'll build up. There's talk of them being interested in like PJ Tucker, so get the losses, because they're going to try to improve, because they obviously don't want to be one of the worst 3 teams in the league. And then they also know that they don't want to, be in the middle ground. I mean, PJ Tucker's not going to help them make the playoffs. That's for sure. But,
I think they should do the opposite. Like, they should try to keep this pick. They should try to get a top 3.
I agree with you.
So then they don't have.
Yeah.
Because this year is a better draft. The 2021 is a better draft. The top 3 picks can be #1 picks in the previous draft and then the next draft. And so if they somehow if they don't keep this year's pick and they give up 2022's pick, that's the best outcome for them.
Yo, I 100% agree with you. But the optics of them just tanking for the season, it would just be terrible, right? Like, they get the #1 pick, they make this trade for DLo, and they should be better, right? Like on paper. So I think it would be a hugely hard sell to try to tank at this point, especially with Cat going through his personal family COVID issues and being out for part of the season. He missed like 4, 5, 6 games, and they lost all of them. So I think they're going to give it a shot, but that's why I'm trying to like hope that they lose enough games in case they, win a few here. Edwards like figures stuff out and whatnot. Because PJ Tucker will help them win a few games if they do get him. He's just not going to help them get to the playoffs. So if they lose, I'm all good.
They're for sale right now, right?
Yeah, I do.
If I was the next owner, I would want to come in with the #1 pick, a top 3 pick in one of the best drafts ever. Like, I don't care about optics, especially if I'm selling the team. All you have to do is not trade for PJ Tucker and just make sure DLo gets a lot of play, and Anthony Edwards. I mean, basically just do what they're doing now. No change.
Internally, they might be tanking. You never know. Like, because it seems like it. Because Ricky Rubio, that trade is not working out for them. Edwards, I think he'll be up and down all year.
In what situation do you get a player you've had before and it's worked out? How many second stints have actually worked out ever
Well,
in
clearly
the
that
NBA?
Chris Webber second stint when he was like 50 pounds overweight, that
We're
was
not talking
helpful.
about retiring as a Warrior. We're
uh,
talking like second stint.
second stint. Don Nelson as a coach. Player wise, I can't think of one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were expecting. Ricky Rubio as an adult is the same as Ricky Rubio as a child. So
Yeah, the Andrew Wiggins trade. Are you kidding me? Like, he's giving us what the Warriors front office said. He fits better in the role, and he's trying hard. You know, he's playing hard on defense. His defense is really, really active, and it's nonstop. He's getting blocks. You could see him like moving his feet constantly, and he's never going to be worth his contract. But that's not my money. You know, in terms of on the court. If you can't get like KD, you can't get another perennial all-star in there, then Andrew Wiggins ain't bad. You know what I'm saying?
well, the good news is that post-tax paying, Andrew Wiggins is the second worst contract the Warriors have right now.
Next to
Oubre paying $90 million for 1 year of Oubre.
$90 million man. If Oubre continues this way, it might just be that they move on from him. He's a free agent, and you know, hey, if they get a good pick, you pick a wing of the future, and then you play him behind Clay and Wiggins. I would not mind that at all.
You're listening to the Oakland Warriors podcast. Did you know Oakland Warriors is a website too? OaklandWarriors.com offers a collection of Warriors t-shirts that are comfy, classy, and cool. Fit for a real Warriors fan like you. Forget basic tees and boring designs. With Oakland Warriors, you can show your team pride with those in the know. I have a shirt from OaklandWarriors.com. It's comfy and soft, and it reps the Dubs in a low-key but fun way. Don't believe me? Check out OaklandWarriors.com and use the code podcast at checkout for a 10% discount.
In terms of Wiggins, how would you compare his game to, say, the aforementioned Harrison Barnes?
He's definitely much more exciting to watch. I think for him, I mean, I see his physical prowess. I can just see him thinking on the court. Like, I really feel like he's not comfortable yet. I can see I just feel like he's still thinking too much when he's with the full team. When he's with the second team and he's just getting to run wild, a lot of ISOs, I think, he looks more comfortable because he knows that he's the best player on the court. I just don't know if he sort of fits in knowing that he's the second playmaker / third most experienced Warrior when he's playing with the starting lineup.
I think he's way better than Harrison Barnes, especially now. When you watch Barnes, he has like the same moves that he had when he was with the Warriors. His athleticism is diminishing, and the only thing better that he probably does than Wiggins is guard big fours or something.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there's some players that look like they're playing like robots. Harrison Barnes is one of them. Mm-hmm. Jaylen Brown used to be like this. I watched all of his games. I had season tickets for Cal when he was at Cal, mm-hmm. and he played like a robot.
Yeah.
Like you can see him like, if you're ballroom dancing and you're counting your steps, I feel like that's what he used to do. Now it's just incredible what he's done.
Yeah.
And that feels like the next level of what, taking in all of these learned and then just applying it so that it's smooth and seamless.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, is it too late for Andrew Wiggins to do that? Just to get a little bit more loose. He's 25, right?
Yeah, he'll be 26 sometime during the season. It's not too late, but here's the thing. Like, I agree with you. Like, that second unit is where he seems most comfortable, especially with Eric Paschall out there, because it takes a little bit of the creation pressure off of him. And I think he's finally starting to get more comfortable playing with Steph. I think he's understanding where he needs to be, what he's supposed to do, what the team wants and needs from him. But I just don't know if he has like, Jaylen Brown was obviously like so much younger when he figured it out. Wiggins, I could be cautiously optimistic, but I'll just take what we have for now, and hopefully that improves a little bit. I'm
overall happy. This is pretty damn exciting. If for anything, he's provided us a little extra, a secondary thing to think about. just following the Timberwolves. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's so much fun to follow the Timberwolves like on like The Athletic, or to go on like the Timberwolves fan blogs and read what they're saying. It's like, yes. It's it makes you feel like you won something even if you didn't. I mean, I guess winning the trade. Did you read that article by whatever, like NBC Sports Bay Area, about the Wiggins trade, where like they just said the Warriors fleeced the Wolves?
I did, yeah. The breakdown was great. Essentially, it's D'Lo does not fit into Minnesota. I mean, he has limitations. He did not fit into the Warriors system. It was really just, that whole idea around not necessarily trading players, but just trading contracts.
Mm-hmm.
He was a contract.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a way to keep open the ability and flexibility of going above the maximum.
Yeah.
My GM words. I'm losing my GM words. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just a holdover to keep above the cap.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. I got to say it again. It is kind of just insane that like basically we traded like a guy who was not good for the Warriors for a guy who was much better for the Warriors and a potential lottery pick.
Let's go back further, right? So Durant signed with the Warriors for nothing, right? He came over here. We didn't do anything. The cap went up, signed him straight up. And then when he left, he was going to sign with the Nets and the Warriors were going to get nothing. And then the Warriors called up the Nets and said, hey, you know what? What if we sign D'Angelo Russell and we do a trade, a sign and trade so that we can fit him under the cap and then we'll give you something. And Durant was really petty about it and said, no, I deserve a first round pick. And so the Warriors ended up giving a highly protected first round pick, right? Am I saying this right? And then got D'Angelo Russell for nothing. Got D'Angelo Russell for a pick that did not become anything. I should do some research to figure out what it was. And losing Durant. And then that, to connect all the dots, getting 3 years of Durant led to Andrew Wiggins and potentially a first round pick in the best draft of all time.
Yeah. And if you really, really want to kind of go in that direction, yes, the Warriors stunk because injuries and Durant left. We also got James Wiseman out of this, right? Like, technically by KD leaving, right? And like a series of other events and a terrible, terrible year. But that's not bad. That's actually, I mean, I don't know if I can smile bigger than this. That's actually very pleasing to think about. Good job, Bob Myers. I mean, we lost Iguodala. Livingston was going to retire anyway. Losing Iguodala was tough, but that should be a lesson to all Warriors fans that like sometimes you kind of have to move on and just appreciate the business of it all, because I'll take what we got now over an aging Iguodala as much as I love Andre on the team. You know what I mean? Just in terms of basketball.
The only way to describe how impactful that was is just to pretend just for a minute if we had the second pick in the year before or the year before that. Right? If it wasn't James Wiseman, but it was Luka Doncic or it was Ja Morant. Like, that's the only other way to describe how much of a fleecing or how lucky this was.
Yeah. I mean, we should always trade with Minnesota, like every year.
The best thing about them is that when they get a new owner, that new owner is going to be trigger happy. Like, there's no way the Cat DLo duo is going to last through the next owner. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think I read something from a Minnesota sports writer saying that they should keep Cat, keep Edwards, and move on from D'Lo already. But on that note, it's like, people were questioning the trade. They were emotional about losing Iguodala, to make space for D'Lo, the KD trade. But Myers, not a bad move. Do you think he's a good GM? How do you feel about Bob Myers, the local high school basketball legend from Monte Vista High School in Danville, California?
I guess my question back to you is, do you think it's possible to be a good GM, a good drafting GM, as well as being a good trade evaluating current players GM?
I mean, those are two different things, right? Sometimes it's harder to evaluate younger talent and to pull triggers on that. Whereas like doing the salary cap gymnastics and contract gymnastics and then evaluating current players who you have more data points on, those are two different skill sets. I know Myers catches flack for his draft history, but he's had some second round picks. A lot of it is, it's almost a crapshoot at that point.
I know what he's good at, and that's sort of making cap space, and getting value.
Yeah.
I don't think we can judge him quite yet on drafting because, for many years he had Jerry West, and then he's been picking in the low first round. And with this year, you're basically fucked if you don't take James Wiseman second. And so I know there was a lot of research done that they did and a lot of scouting, but there's no way they would have, in hindsight now. I feel like any other decision was just because we were listening too much to 1 year's worth of following all of these rookies. So I feel like the next few years, it's weird to say, like 7 years into his tenure or 5 years into his tenure, we're saying that he can't fully judge him yet, but it feels true.
Yeah, that's a good point of him being good at making salary or creating cap space. Because that opens the opportunity, right? Like for the Warriors for the last several years, you just need cap space and then guys will want to come to the team, right? In terms of free agents. And then, some of his second rounders, we thought, or at least I thought they were going to be good. Like Patrick McCaw was solid for a year and a half. Jordan Bell was solid for half a season. And everybody thought that these guys were going to be critical parts of the future, but that might not be as much on Myers as it is on like development and then those players' own ability to improve. The Jacob Evans pick was just terrible.
Off the jump, yeah.
Yeah, that was just awful. Yeah, and if he gets like the Minnesota pick in like the 4 to 6 range, that could be a gimme too. You know what I mean? Well then, that is another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out at oaklandwarriors.com. That's it. Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.